I couldn't speak, so I just handed him my phone so he could look at the pictures we took. He was astonished and told us not to go back there again, especially at night. There are times where I still wonder, what if we didn't run? And that haunts me and Anna to this day. I still don't know what Anna saw behind us that night, and I'm kind of afraid to ask. Baker Lake Skinwalker Thing. Submitted by A. One time, me, my sister, my mom, and her boyfriend went camping around 4 hours from our house. We've gone camping well over 40 times before at least, so I have a bit of experience. Me and my mom's boyfriend, let's call him Chris, arrived before my mom and sister. Let's call my sister Leela. This wasn't much of a problem because everyone knew the area very well. So Chris and I did the usual. We gathered firewood and set up the equipment. I was pretty big for my age, and it took a lot for me to get cold, so people knew if I complained about it being cold, everyone else was already freezing. I am an avid hunter, and I'm very protective of my friends and family. So around 10 o'clock at night, when I was just about to go to sleep, my mom, Leela, and my 3 dogs arrived at the campsite. My mom asked me to help unload some stuff, and once we did, not too long after, we went to sleep. Me and my dog Lucy woke up at the same time, somewhere around 3 in the morning. Believe me when I say it was freezing cold. But not a few seconds after waking up, I heard a distorted voice of my mom saying, "Come help me." I was extremely tired, and I didn't want to. I knew I'd get in trouble if I didn't, though. This was a big mistake. I put my shoes on and I looked up to the cars, expecting to see my mom, and even though my vision was a bit blurry still, I saw something black and hairy hunched over on top of my car. I thought it was a bear, and in fear I pulled out the knife in my sheath. I was about to start yelling at the thing to ward it off when it started laughing at me. I froze. My dog began to growl and the creature stood up, and it mimicked Lucy's growl. She whimpered. Then this creature jumped from the car to 7 feet in front of me and let out a shriek so loud that my head hurt. I could hear everyone else waking up in their tents. Chris came out seconds later with his loaded gun. This thing looked at him. Half asleep as well, Chris shot at the thing, and before I knew it, it had run off back into the woods. We ended up calling for help. This thing had scared the hell out of all of us. Even if it was just a bear, this thing was really close and threatened us, basically. When the Fish and Wildlife Services got there, they took whatever samples they could find. We never really got an answer. But being Native American, I've always heard stories, so the word skinwalker quickly came to mind on our way home. It stayed with me for a week. Submitted by Pyrocaster. Now, before I start this, I need to make this clear. I was 11 years old at the time. I was a very plain and uninteresting guy all around. I haven't had any other experiences with creatures or the paranormal since this. And another thing, this lasted an entire week. What I'm about to tell you guys lasted from Monday all the way to the next Sunday. This happened over 8 years ago. I was in 6th grade at the time, and it was about midway through the year. We were all stressed, since the dreaded midterms were upon us, and none of us were prepared. So all of our minds were completely addled from the random questions we were going to have to do. The day went by as uneventful as usual, save for teachers telling us to get ready and whatnot. School ended, and I decided that I was going to do anything that night to relax, thanks to the annoying teachers constantly pestering us about those tests. I went home and watched some TV. A few movies later, it was time to go to bed. And this is when it started. I was tucked into bed since I was a complete mama's boy, and tried to go to sleep after the door was shut. Soon after, I heard the TV downstairs turn on, telling me my mom had sat down to watch TV. I tried to go to bed, but something was off. No sooner had I heard the TV turn on, I stopped hearing it, and I stopped hearing any other sort of noise coming from downstairs. This could usually be chalked up to my mom just going to bed. However, she would always turn the lights off. I could tell she hadn't gone to bed because I could still see all the lights on from under my door. As I wondered why I could no longer hear her, or anything from downstairs for that matter, I started to feel like I couldn't breathe. Scared, I tried to get up and move, call for help, to do anything to get someone's attention. I found out I couldn't move or make any sound, regardless of how hard I tried. My mouth would open, but nothing would come out. I strained to move, but it felt like my muscles had been paralyzed. They wouldn't respond to what I wanted them to do. As I lay there trying to get someone's attention, I saw it. There, by the closet door, was that thing. It was large, not muscular. It was actually very skinny, and I could almost see its bones. But its height was what grabbed my attention right off the bat. It was probably 6 or 7 feet tall. As it was clinging onto the door and was hunching slightly so as to not hit the ceiling. It had very pale skin. However, I could not make out any details on it exactly. Not that night anyways. The last thing I noticed about it was it had no face. It was just a blank slate, devoid of any features and devoid of any kind of hint as to why it was there. I looked at this thing, feeling what I imagine is a primal instinct that is found in anything that looks into something like this. It was fear. Not the kind of fear you get when you see your parents get into a fight. Not the kind of fear you have when looking at a wild predator, really. No, this is what I would imagine. The kind of fear you feel when you know that your life is at the whim of something altogether completely, horribly wrong. This thing stayed there on the door for hours. It never moved, not so much as an